What the hell? What is a scene box? Scenes. Well, again, this is clobbering time. But you know what? We're switching. By the way, we're going to change our name. We did 700 shows under the auspices of clobbering time. We're going to be clobbering times from now on. I don't know if we're on or not. I don't know if we're being heard or not. I'm going to try to find out. But we will see. This is, after all, just a test. You know, and testing is half the battle. So they say. And so just bear with me, please, well, friends, while I show that I'm live. I guess I am. Am I being heard? I don't know. I don't know if I'm being heard or not. Am I being heard? Can everyone hear me okay? I mean, I don't know. Waiting for clobbering time still. Show's live, but no one can hear me. Can anyone hear me? Hear me? You can hear me in there? Okay, all right, well, can't hear it on here, but that don't mean anything, does it? You can hear me in there, though, right? Okay, all right, well, I'm going to talk then. I'm just going to hear me okay? Sound good? I got one, why does it still say waiting? Well, I don't know. Look, everyone, you might be in there or not. I can't really see much. If any of you are here listening to me, bear with me because I can't tell if you are or not, but I'm told that I am being heard. So here we go. Look, here's the deal. I'm just doing kind of a test thing, see how this works out. Sorry for the glitchiness. You know what? This is not just me. Look, every YouTuber I know, and I know a bunch of them have been doing it everyone's been doing it way longer than me because I'm not even official yet. So we all have our problems, and they have all, it's just not like the old BTR show. Hopefully it'll be less glitchy. So it always takes a little bit of time to get off the ground, and there's no opening music like the old days. But hey, other than that, hopefully I'm being heard. This is clobbering time, clobbering times with an S. I think we're just going to do, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to start at number 1 like they like to do in comics. Legacy numbering 701, did 700 clobbering time episodes, that is, on Blog Talk Radio from 2019 to 2011. I am, of course, Mike Alonzo. This is the last time I'll say my own dumb name on here because it's going to be Ben J. Grimm, the ever-loving brown-eyed thing. It doesn't even matter. Look, just there's so much out there to talk about. Actually, all my favorite YouTubers. One of them is on right now. I was just watching his stream, talking about a lot of interesting things. I don't know. I think I will talk about just a little bit of stuff and then just head out, and just see how it works out, see what it sounds like and everything. Anyone who happens to be popping in now, or maybe catches this later, I'm just going to leave this up as a test for you. I think this is what I will do. I will use this test stream for, an introductory thing, because I'm hoping I will have a lot of people who are not familiar with me, or who were not there on Blog Talk Radio, which many were not, on YouTube, that I'm going to get to know. I'm a big fan, and I love and consider myself part of the great gestalt that is it's not really a gestalt, but it's just a fun science fiction-y word. The Fandom Menace, love it. And I think it's fantastic. If you check my channel out, and I hope you subscribe, I only have one really full video up right now, and there's some test ones and some messing around ones that I'm going to probably dump. But I have an interview with the great Lord Doomcock from January of 23rd of 2019. Of course, Lord Doomcock. I am name dropping here because he said he doesn't mind. He's a great friend. He's a great pal. Love his show. A fabulous YouTuber and spiffing bloke. Had a wonderful interview with him on my Clobbering Time Blog Talk Radio podcast, if you could call it a podcast. It's a show, whatever else you want to call it. And the things people have called it, let me tell you. But I am from, well, way down south in Louisiana, let's put it like that. I'm very old, a very old geek since the age of 2 years old, when the Batman television show starring Adam West first debuted, and Batman was the first name I could say, according to folklore about myself, according to my parents, in other words. Geeked out from there on. Love all kinds of geek things. I have both run and worked in and even owned my own comic book shop, all back in the 80s, because like I told you, I'm old. My favorite movie just turned 40 years old this week. That is, of course, The Empire Strikes Back. I do love old school, original trilogy Star Wars, well, especially the first two, 77 and 1980. I love Star Trek with a passion. I consider myself to be extremely knowledgeable on that subject. And Doctor Who, and some Star Wars, and some science fiction film and things like that. Meant much minutia, but of course, with an old memory, so it's always kind of fuzzy here and there now. Comic books, I would say, knowledge-wise, are my strong suit and a great passion. The art form of comic books, nothing new now, of course. I don't like any of the new stuff. That's kind of a problem. Since you're supposed to do a show that is new and topical, that's a difficulty for me and a challenge sometimes, because I don't like a lot of new stuff now. I mean, it just doesn't appeal to me as much. So, and I got a lot of people, even my age or closer, that watch a lot of that stuff more than I do, but I still try to keep up. Very basic stuff. I hate revisionism and comics, science fiction, fantasy related things like that. My favorite era of comics is the Bronze Age. I'm a Bronze Age baby, though I was born in the Silver Age, and I do love it, of course. I am a huge, gigantic fan of the greatest creative imagination of the 20th century, Jack King Kirby, the king of comics. Was fortunate enough to meet him twice, two greatest geek experiences of my life. I am extraordinarily... the word opinionated is strange. People like to use it as a pejorative, I say, and perhaps it is, and in some ways. I am opinionated. I believe I'm very strong in my opinion, strongly hold my opinions. And, Joe 47. Now, I can see someone is in there. Just Joe 47. Hey, it's great to see you there. I don't know if I know you, but if I don't, I'm glad I do now. I'm glad you're here. I was just using this test one just to talk a little bit about myself. And I'm glad someone's hearing me there. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that, man. One of my favorites, of course, is Gary at Nerdrotic. He's live right now, and I was just listening to him, so I didn't know he was going to be live, or I wouldn't have scheduled that here today. I know I'm not hurting any of his business, though. He's the best. He's amazing, and I'm a big fan of his. I hope to talk to him someday, and I hope to talk to Doomcock again someday. But I'm just basically, Joe, and anyone else, just kind of introducing myself a little bit to YouTube, using this test to do that. And as I said, I'm altering the name of my show just a bit, calling it Clobbering Times. But as I was saying, I'm an opinionated sumbitch. Now, again, I like to think of it as in a fun way. I can be an ass about it, and I try not. But only, again, in a fun, poking fun, ribbing people kind of way. Look, I coexist with other opinions no matter whether I agree with you or not. I want to coexist. I'm gonna stress my opinions firmly, but hopefully in a fun way. And again, really respect. I've always said, you know how people say, I respect your opinion? I may not even respect your opinion if I think it's really wrong, but I respect you and your right to express it. And I want you to come here to express it. Tell me I'm full of shit. Hey, I know I'm full of shit. Well, aren't we all sometimes? I mean, who doesn't admit that they are sometimes? You go, oh man, I looked at that a little bit, and go, man, I was full of crap on that one. I do that. I'm self-introspective that way, certainly more than I have. I like to think I evolve. I don't care what your politics are or anything like that. I'd like to think that this is sort of a geek Shangri-La. I won't be doing politics here. Other than, look, I mean, if it's, doing something like the Phantom Menace does, which is standing up against SJWs and things like that, people who destroy things with identity politics. We might touch on that a little bit. Oh, look, it's Jobber! Just Joe. Jobber. Yo, brother. All right, man. I'm glad you're here, buddy. All right, man. It does my heart good to see you there, my friend. You the man. I'm glad you're here, buddy. Good to see you. I hope you're having a great Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend. And like I said, I was just kind of introducing myself. I don't know how much of this video will be seen. I won't even be doing it for very long, just a little while. I'm trying to work out some bugs. Jobber, we're going to get it eventually where I'm going to be able to get Flash on with me once I learn how to do that. And of course, invite will always, it's always open to anyone who wants to join in. If I can figure out how to do that, and one of these days, Jobber, maybe you'll call in and talk if you want. If I can figure out a way to do that, I'm tech illiterate. You know that by now. Let's hope this isn't as glitchy as BTR. But some of my favorite YouTubers seem to say is that it can be a big problem as well. And you gotta watch what you talk about too, of course. If you are, especially if you're fan of Menace. If you're fan of Menace, and anyone can call themselves that, and I do proudly call myself that. Um, yeah. But even if you're not, I think you're welcome here, whether you are or not. And, that's the thing about the Phantom Menace that you don't know. If you think you don't like the Phantom Menace, you just don't know them. Because, yes, they have opinions, but you don't have to agree with them. They still accept all. That's why I love these guys. You don't have to agree with them to talk to them. As long as you can have a conversation and a discourse with someone. Well, Jobber, man. Flash and I don't agree on all kind of stuff. It's like all the Snyder Cut crap going on. Look, you know what I think about the Snyder garbage. I think it's crap. I was never against them doing a Snyder Cut. I don't like Snyder bots. Snyder bots are not people who happen to like the DCU and disagree with me on that, because a couple of my very dear friends like Man of Steel, which is to me is a piece of filthy trash, and I'll always say it is. Snyder, I think, fucked up the end of Watchmen, lied to people for over a year that he was going to get the ending right, didn't do it. I'm not a big Snyder guy. Here he's a nice dude. I really feel sorry for him and heartfelt for him about that horrible tragedy about his daughter, but I can still pick on him and criticize him as a director, but definitely not along those lines. But Snyder bots are a nasty bunch. Not everyone who is a fan of his work or the DCU or want to see the Snyder Cut are Snyder bots. So when I say Snyder bots, I'm being specific. But I've been a little misunderstood about that lately. And again, having those, no matter how few they are, they're still a loud number. Having those scum get something they want does stick in my craw. I don't like it. I'm also a little skeptical about the absolute gung-ho-idness, if that's a word, of those who think this is really great win for all fandoms and fans. That it remains to be seen. If it's true, fine. When I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I think people are a little too absolutist about that, thinking it's an absolute win for all fans. It's an absolute win for one little hashtag. We'll see what happens. Are fans of Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Wars going to get anything out of it? I don't think so. Fans of Marvel and DC going to get anything out of it right now as far as comics fixing themselves? I just don't see it. It really just, to me, it looks like people who want to see the Snyder Cut are going to have gotten what they want. And all the nice people out there who want to see it, fine. All the jerks, the Snyder bots who want to see it, screw you. I hate to see you get anything, but you got it. So good for you, twerps. Maybe you'll be quiet for a while until you get pissed off that for whatever reason. You're Snyder cultists now, but now that you're getting your cut, who knows whether you think whether you'll still love him. And Jobber says, I know, Mike. We didn't agree on Mad Max seeing Furiosa Road several years ago. He loved it. You loved it. It's funny. I can see your chats on this thing. I can't see them in the chat room. That's weird. Very strange where I can't see the chats until they pop up and go away. But I saw most of what you wrote there. Yes, that was years ago. That was when Matt was still with me, and we both. I was surprised. We both were in agreement. We both hated that film, and I'd forgotten that you'd like that. Well, you're in the majority there, Jobber. Most people did like that film, Mad Maxine Furiosa Road. I personally did not. I got to be honest with you. At the time, I was pretty livid about it. Now, I just remember I didn't like it. I can't remember all the details and stuff like that. Other than, I didn't think it's very good. I think if you're going to make a Mad Max movie, make it about Mad Max. If you're going to make a Furiosa film, do that. Don't wishy-washy about it, but that's just me. Doesn't mean I'm right. But that's been a while. But it's weird. He pops up there when he. Sorry, I was again, this is a test stream, so we're learning some stuff, folks. This I don't know about, but okay. But anyway, yeah, Jobber. Look again, and back on the On the Snyder Cut thing, look, again, I get misconstrued sometimes. I, I never said there shouldn't be one. My comment on it, though, is look, a crappy, dumb, dopey film, the Whedon version that was theatrical in 2017, um, will be replaced with a longer, darker, uglier, crappier version by Snyder, and his fans, his minions will love it, and those of us who don't care, who, I might watch it. Um, that's me. Okay. Well, they'll love it, and they'll be happy. Well, they might be happy. I think they're malcontent, so they probably won't be happy, to be honest with you. So a shitty movie will be a shittier movie, and a longer, shittier movie at that. And on HBO Max, whoopee. Yeah, fine. I mean, I don't mind that. It's just, again, it's a little galling that a certain group's happy about it. But look, any nice people out there that I like, and there are those, who are, I get why you're excited about it. I don't know, but that's your business. If you're happy about it, though, all right. Hey, as the great Harlan Ellison once said, I might watch. I heard myself there for a minute. The shit. Now look, is that it? Hey, Mark C, are you there? Look, it looks like Mark C's in there. And Johnny Joestar. That's my son. Sorry. Oh, I'm just kidding. He's some jerk named Johnny Joestar. Mark C, is that you there, brother? So we're having some difficulty. I can't see much of anything. Well, that's why they call it a test. But hail to you, Mark C, my old friend. I'm going to figure out how to, once we figure out how to get people on here with me, I'd love to get you on, Mark. Let's talk some comics. You can kick my ass about John Byrne all you want, brother, and welcome of other things. Actually, I'm going to disappoint you because I like a lot of his work too. But you can still smack me around all over that one. Been seeing a lot of your artwork, some of your artwork in there, stuff like that as well. Mark, you are amazing, brother, and it's been a long time, man. I haven't seen you in ages, and then talked to you in ages. So I hope we get a chance to do that sometime soon. I hope, buddy. That's my chat room now. So I don't have. Yeah, we're working out the bugs. Don't have a chat room yet all the time, but I can see it right now. But on the Snyder Cut thing, look, dude. If you're not a Snyder bot and you're a cool person that happens to be happy about that, that's fine. That's my last word on that thing. What really pisses me off is what's going on with Empire Strikes Back. Fucking Disney. Gary and Doomcock talked about it at length last night, but since we're doing a test show and I needed something to talk about, and it doesn't encroach on them anyway, for those who do not know, for some goddamn reason, Disney felt like they needed to do another comic book adaptation, I guess it's a comic adaptation, of, the other Star Wars films, and I think I don't know if it's a full adaptation or not. I don't know the whole story on that or not, because I just heard bits and pieces of them talking about it. And instead of resurrecting the great Al Williamson, or more importantly, just reprinting his great comic book adaptation, we've got a wonderful new artist has decided to make Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader look like they don't look like themselves. Okay. They look really, really fucking stupid. And very, very androgynous or girly or flaming or fabulous or whatever you want to call them is what they look like. But then sorry, I'm just kind of distracted here because we're kind of trying to get some stuff done with the technical aspect of this. And so what is that? Don't worry about that now. What is this here? Will that work? Will that still work?
Yes.
Okay, so if anybody else, if you are still here, type some things in the chat room so I can see you, and I'll see if you can see me. I'll type something. What is this? A totally new window? A totally different window? Okay. Okay, I will. I'm testing my chat room there, guys. So, anyway, I hope if you guys have still been hearing me, sorry for all the distractive talking there, but I've, well, just trying to get used to everything. This is, yeah, I pop, oh, well, see, that showed up. So some of you might still be. Again, I have no way of telling what's going on. I'll just leave that new window up there. If anyone is there, just give me a holler in the chat. We have a few things to work out first, that I'm going to cut out in a little bit, because I couldn't even tell if I was being heard until he told me and he checked it on for me. So I'm just a mess today. But it's Memorial Day. Incidentally, a recommendation in case any of you are fans of the King of Comics. Yeah, I'll just talk about that a little bit. The Great Jack Kirby. I saw on Twitter the other day that that Jeremy Kirby, Jack Kirby's grandson, was he tweeted. I can't believe I missed this, by the way. There was a documentary back in 2017, which would have been the 100th birthday of the great Jack Kirby. And a documentary that is now available for free on Amazon Prime called Kirby at War. And it's really good. It's very short, so under an hour, I believe. It's really excellent. It talks about, and it shows, it basically talks about how Kirk, see, I was watching a Trek episode today and I went, Kirby was affected by World War II, as many of you may or may not know. Jack Kirby, born Jakob Kurtzberg, August 28th, 1917, was a war hero. And he was in Patton's 3rd Division, actually. And this tells the fascinating story of what he went through, how the war affected him, and they beautifully use Kirby art as background effects throughout the documentary. And it talks about how it affected him for the rest of his life. Fascinating and great, I love it. Yeah, well, there you go, Jobber. Luke has oh, God. Luke is a girl and Vader's a girl. The Snyder Cut of Highlander 2. Jobber, I don't know if I ever told you this, but, look, I'm a jackass, but I'll sit through anything. I went to the theater to see Highlander 2, and I wanted to walk out. And I never walk out of movies. I don't think I did, but I think I did fall asleep. Why the hell do I remember going to see that crap? God damn it. Well, because it was bad, I guess. I mean, the first one was an okay film. The second one, Jesus H. Sean Connery, be wasted, man. So, what can you do? But yeah, that Empire comic. And of course, you know about the part about General Reichian being excluded, and now we had General Leia or whatever. Did they call her General anything? I don't know. I saw some things about it. You see something crappy like that, it's just fuck off. Duck Fisney, man. Fuck them. And Kathleen Kennedy and her ilk. To hell with all of them. The Snyder Cut of Highlander 2. Yeah, could be. Well, what can you do? I mean, some have said, and I forgot who I was saying this the other night. There's not, by the way, it's kind of a myth that there's a Snyder Cut per se. There's a bunch of stuff in the film that's probably still on, that was unfinished. Yes. Is there? I mean, not that his movies are ever coherent anyway, but is there a coherent, structured Snyder Cut that just needs a tweak here and there to get finished? No. I mean, they're bringing in actors and for a lot of things, and not just voice work, probably. They're giving, they're probably going to reshoot a bunch of stuff. And so again, not against that. I don't care. Not against that. I mean, it's just, if you're still going to have the same basic story, even more dark horse shit though, and you have the same lame-ass, lousy villain, Steppenwolf, who's, I haven't read a lot of the modern comics. So if Steppenwolf is like that instead of the original Kirby Steppenwolf, I don't know. I mean, but he's not an interesting villain. He's a terrible villain. Okay, they say you're going to get Darkseid. For what, a minute? 2 minutes? A couple of minutes of dark side. Yeah, okay. All right, man. Look, I mean, okay, or probably like a 2 minute thingy though, and it won't mean much. Remember, you got Jar Jar Abrams taking over DC movies, Warner movies. Um, God, I mean, I actually really have warmed up to Henry Cavill and like him a lot, but it's not his fault he was in three terrible movies. But will he get a chance to play Superman in a good movie with Jar Jar Abrams in command? I don't think so. Look, I'm if you're excited about Sparkly Batman, you got one up on me too, because that one I think is going to be a train wreck. Sparkly Batman is going to be a disaster, in my opinion. We haven't seen it yet. No, I haven't seen it yet. True. And I'm not even crapping on Pattinson's casting. Some of the dumb shit he's been saying, unless it's trolling or whatever. Okay. Not that I think that some of that's not all that smart. But all I am saying is that it's very woke stuff. It's Matthew Reeves. He's an acolyte of Jar Jar Abrams as well. Just another wasted Batman movie is probably what we're looking at. Yeah, I agree with that. What I've heard others say, and this is something I've said for a long time and believed, couldn't we just? We've had his origin a million times. Wouldn't it be great if they just started Batman somewhere like toward a fair amount into his career, not at one end or the other? It's funny, the movies he's always at one end or the other of his career for the most part. And I'm not counting the Nolan stuff. Look, the Nolan stuff, whether you like those or not, is fine. Batman Begins showed promise. Dark Knight may be a good film, but the fact is, by the time Dark Knight Retires comes along, we find out that he was only really Batman for about a year or two in his whole life. Then 8 years he sat around sitting on his crippled ass. So this is not Batman to me. How about a Batman that's a Batman, with a good bit of experience, and he's got there's a lot of water under the bridge, and you get to see him do a lot of detective stuff, and just being Batman, hell, being on top of things. But I guess if you want that, you can just watch the animated series, which is, in my opinion, and you guys may disagree with that, I think Batman animated series is the finest and the best interpretation of Batman ever conceived, and I'm including comic books in this. I mean, and yes, and that's heresy because comics, and there are some great Batman comics. Comics, are his home medium. But I always thought of animation as a nice, a cousin medium, if you will, or a sister medium. I don't even want to work it to comic books. And Batman animated series is just, oh man, it's wonderful. I have my issues with different elements of the Bruce Timm cartoon universe, but I do love it. I mean, I have some things in there that bother me, but I do love it. And to me, the best of those is the animated series of Batman. So, and Justice League's pretty damn good too. Been watching a little bit of that lately. So, anyone who is in new here, Pattinson is just like Ruby Rose, Jobber. Both of them need to put on at least 20 more pounds of muscle work by the beating up a ton of bad guys. Yeah, that's one thing. I guess we could say that right now he looks more like the Irv Novick Batman. Anybody catch that? Of course you. I know Steven, Joseph. I don't Jobber. I don't know how much you're into old Bronze Age comics because we never talked about it. I don't know, but Irv Novick Batman. I always thought Irv Novick was great on The Flash because The Flash should have been skinny, the Barry Allen Flash and skinny, and I liked his work on that. Especially when not really inked by Frank McLaughlin. It just depends. I mean, now it looks great, but in hindsight, but he did Batman, and Irv Novick made Batman look like Barry Allen in a Batman costume. The skinny. His Batman, his everybody was too skinny, really. Skinnier than Dick Dillinger, them really. But again, fun stuff. But I loved him on Flash. So on Batman, I was always like, again, of course, we were all spoiled by Neil Adams, and as much Neil Adams as we can get anyway. And then, of course, Englehart Rogers, Marshall Rogers, Terry Austin, Batman, that kind of wonderful stuff. So the great version. But yeah, Novick. So I guess this is going to be like Irv Novick Batman. Is that obscure or what? Yes, obscura. I've been I've been posting some fun stuff on my Clobberin Times Baxter. By the way, yeah, again, go to if you any of you do Facebook, Clobberin Times Baxter Building Basement, if you can find it. If you want to get in touch with me anywhere, any of you any of you who are new out there, if you do have, you can of course write me something here on YouTube. But if you are someone who does the Facebook thing, and we do have a lot of fun over there, and my group is Clobberin Times Baxter Building Basement. Because that's how we roll, and we have a lot of fun over there. We have a lot of fun, and so come over there if you can, and talk to us. I post geekness all up in there. You know, I've been picked on. And Mark, you'll appreciate this. I've been picked on because. Yes, there's no question about it. The show and the group is sort of a theme titled, if you will, of the Fantastic Four because I love the Fantastic Four. I should give a little bit more introduction about me, but not that I care. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I've had some people say, "Well, this group's called Baxter Building Basement, but you're supposed to be only posting about the Fantastic Four." Well, that's kind of a name of endearment, just like Clobberin Times. If this show, I've done 700 shows. I love the Fantastic Four, but not all 700 were about, not even close. We're about the Fantastic Four, but I still love them. They're my favorite comic book group. But I love many, many other comic book characters and groups as well. So it's just sort of a nickname for the thing. But we talk Star Trek and Star Wars and Doctor Who and science fiction film of every kind, science fiction fantasy TV show. If anything that interests me on a geek level, that's what we talk about. On the Baxter Building Basement Facebook page, group, and and on the show. Oh, there'll be a lot of FF talk now, time to time, no question about it. But we'll talk Trek and a whole lot of other things. And again, if you are just whizzing by and stopping in, I do thank you. And or if you're catching this later, I do thank you. And just to introduce myself a little bit more, I'm just going to do like an hour today, I think. So if it would have been an hour. And I'm going to start up proper. Probably, if not this, maybe one night this week, I think. I agree with Nerd Rod. Just keep Ben Affleck as Batman. Yeah. You know, as much as I'm not a Ben Affleck dude, I don't disagree with you or Gary on that one, Joe. I actually, well, of course, I hated BVS for obvious reasons, but even though the Justice League Whedon cut's not a very good film, I thought I kind of liked Affleck as Batman in it. Call me weird, but I kind of liked him in that a little bit. He was more likable, and he was more. I mean, he wasn't like a murdering nut like he was in BVS. So I liked him in that. Okay. I mean, again, I don't know. Call me just a geek, but Batman and Superman should be close to the same age, though. That's another thing that Snyder is just such a jackass about. Like, Batman and Superman are contemporaries. It seemed to me with his stupid BVS film, he was trying to go for at least certainly scalping a lot from Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Now, his Affleck Batman wasn't quite that old as he was in that story, but he was definitely a good 10 years or so on Supes, and had been around way before Super whatever you want to call him. Certainly no Superman in that movie. But yeah, they should be contemporaries. It's funny, he appeared before Batman. A year before, but before. Although, look, in the Bruce Timm verse, I don't know. Not that it matters. I'm just saying, in the Bruce Timm verse, Batman is the foundation. Supes came a little bit later. Either way, they're the world's finest team. And can I just level with you guys about something about when it comes to Superman and Batman? Tell me if you disagree. You might disagree. A lot of this is friggin' Frank Miller's fault. Um, I'm when I grew again. When I was a kid, and a lot of this. If you're not basing a lot of your love on comics and the things on when you were a kid, then you really weren't a kid when you started reading comics. And when I started reading comics, my first exposure to the character, obviously Batman was the TV show, but then my first exposure to Superman was the Filmation cartoon, Superman Aquaman Hour. And then later, of course, you had Batman had a Filmation cartoon, you had the Super Friends, things like that. For me, for my experience. And also I had two books that were very important to me. One was called Superman from the 30s to the 70s, and the other one was called Batman from the 30s to the 70s. They've since done later ones to the 80s, but the 80s hadn't happened yet. This was the early 70s when I got these books from Walden's book, I believe it was, and just wore them out cover to cover. And they had reprints from Golden and Silver, and even and at that point some relatively current Superman and Batman comics of the time. This is, again, early 70s. And so in one of those books, I forgot which one it was now, they of course had the reprint of the first meeting between Superman and Batman. No. I think it was the first. Yeah, I think it may have been the first meeting. It was certainly one of the first because I think they actually met on some covers before that. World's Fair Comics, things like that, or whatever it was. But whatever it was the reprint of the first, telling the story of their first meeting. But anyway, for me, and of course at the time on the stands, one of the biggest comics on the stands was called World's Finest. To me, as a kid growing up, Batman and Superman were best friends. Sure, on every cover there were squabbling and bickering, or my favorite cover of all was when they were holding Tommy guns on Robin and Jimmy Olsen, making them dig their own grave. But you know, covers were back then. I love Superman and Batman, and I love them being friends. Now, toward the end of the run of World's Finest, some of these writers, it was before Miller, but Miller had kind of messed with it more, had Batman and Superman, against each other a lot, or fighting a lot, which again is always fine, but they were still friends. It was Miller who really kind of drove a big wedge between them. He didn't think that Superman and Batman should be friends because they're so different, and I think that just shows he didn't understand. I love Miller. Although I will confess, unpopular opinion, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Again, I loved it a lot when it first came out, except for the fourth issue, which I really did not like. And unlike some other older comics or comics of the time, it does not hold up quite well for me. I like it okay now. I do not consider it the masterpiece that so many other people do. A lot of rose-colored glasses going on there. I still have a great hardcover of it. With all the other Miller stories in there, all the Frank Miller Batman hardcover thing, and then I love it. It's great, but just saying, I have some issues with the story and the art, even in some ways. But that's just me. Again, very unpopular opinion, and I'm full of those, baby. Got plenty of those. As for the Snyder cut of the Justice League, I've seen enough of Snyder's version of the DCU. You see, well, that's Jobber saying he's seen enough of the Snyder's version of the DCU. The Whedon cut of Justice League was okay. They at least acted like heroes in that one. And see, that's something I get made fun of for saying a lot, Jobber, and I'm glad you said it, and I'm glad you reminded me to say it. Yeah, the movie has no story, a crappy villain, a lot of blah-blah stuff, and some cheeky Whedon humor. Fundamentally, though, they act like superheroes do. They're heroic, they're concerned. Even Super Weirdo with his, covered up, CG covered up, mustache and beard or whatever, Superman for the first time does, once he gets his own mind back, act like, shocker, he acts like Superman. There's a little bit to like in that movie here and there. That would not be the case with the Snyder version, I think. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I will say it. But I've heard things, and again, I don't know if it's true. If it's not true, good, but I've heard things like, for example, in the big fight in the bank thing or whatever, that Wonder Woman not only does she not save all those people, they get killed because she screws up or something, and she's killing a lot of those bad guys or whatever, but she ends up not saving the people in that bank, and then Whedon changed that. Again, I'm not saying that's true. I read it somewhere. You know how internet rumors are, just like a lot of our favorite YouTubers always say, take it with a grain of salt because I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if that's true. I read it. If it's true, screw you. Snyder, your rest of your movie's going to be dismal and ugly. He made two dismal and ugly movies in Man of Steel and Bitch versus Shit, or Bull versus Shit, as I like to call it. Why I should be convinced that his cut of an already flawed and just messed up film is going to be any better, and even if it better is a relative term, if you're not going to portray the superheroes the way they're supposed to be, you're already proven you're an idiot by casting horrible casting of the Flash. But to be fair, Cavill's a good cast, even though in bad movies. Affleck turned out to be okay more than I thought. Momo's doesn't even act like Aquaman, but he's likable. And he's big business. There's no question about that. But you cast the horrible Flash, going all over the place here. I get it, but I'm just saying, your movie, it's going to be longer and less heroic, because at least the Whedon version does have the heroes acting like here. I remember Whedon talking about, and he didn't go out of his way to insult Man of Steel or anything, but I remember back when Age of Ultron came out, he kind of off-referenced it without saying it. And you can say what you want about Age of Ultron. I mean, I like it. A lot of people don't. I get it. But one of the wonderful things about the film is he says, look, we want to make sure we go out of our way of showing superheroes doing what superheroes do. Not punching things like the Snyder Bots love. Punching, knocking buildings around and shit is not what superheroes are all about. It's a fun element, the violence part of it, and seeing them throw things, all that kind of stuff. Yes, as kids, we like that. The most important thing about superheroes is they use their superpowers in heroic fashion to save people, to rescue people. And we talked about that with Age of Ultron. I said I wanted to make sure I showed that a lot. And there's a lot of stuff in Age of Ultron where the superheroes are saving people, which I loved. I love the fact that he is basically talking to Man of Steel right there when he says, hey, save people. Superheroes do that. It's what they do. They don't just smack each other around into buildings and let them crumble all over the place and let people die. They try to take the action away from the city. Sure, there's going to be collateral damage, no problem. And Superman is a super thinker. He did not have to kill Zod. It was bad enough that he was sloppily allowing all these other deaths. No way Superman always finds a way not to kill. There's always so many ways, trick ways he knows to use all his powers. Well, he was just brand new being Superman. You're gonna excuse that. Look, excuse it any way you want. Even Christopher Nolan, that ass who hired Snyder, even Nolan, from what I read, I always want to preference that, had said, and I believe this for a reason, he said he was dead set against the killing of Zod and the snapping of the neck because he didn't think Superman should kill either. You want more? You want a reason? I mean, look, in Dark Knight and in Dark Knight Retires, I don't like Dark Knight Retires very much. I like Dark Knight. Batman doesn't kill the Joker. And in Dark Knight Retires, he tells Catwoman, we don't kill. So, yeah, of course, he's the dummy who hired or wanted Snyder for the job. From what I understand, look, I wasn't there. I always preference these are things I've read, these are things I've heard about, these are things I've absorbed from every years. I never tell you 100% about, well, I was there, I know. No, I go by things that I've read and things like that, and I make sure that people understand. That I'm fairly saying, look, I've heard this and I've said this, take this with a grain of salt or whatever, but that's something that also that I read about from multiple sources, that even Nolan wasn't comfortable with the snapping of the neck of Superman's enemy, Zod. So, maybe so. It seemed I believe it because of what he did in his films. But yeah, so if this is gonna be a longer movie, grimmer, grittier, I don't know. I don't know that does anything for me. I don't think it makes it better. If you're gonna still have the same shitty villain, the same dumb MacGuffin of a story, all the same stuff that we've seen with just some dialogue changes or whatever. Look, if it makes you happy, okay. If you think this is a win for fandoms, okay. Remains to be seen. Maybe you're right. If it is, good. Good. Anything that's a win for fandoms over these soulless crap corporations, good. I'm not arguing with you about that. I'm expressing some skepticism about it. That's all. Healthy skepticism. That's one of the foundations of the fandom menace, I think. We don't always agree with each other. But I love all you guys. So, hey, look, I'm here. I'm going to start one day next week for anyone who has popped in and actually listened to all this stuff. Well, there's Jobber. I'm so glad you're here, buddy. Jobber says, like the original Superman 2, Supes realized the battle was going nowhere, and Zod and crew, and left the city to lure them exactly to the Fortress of Solitude. Take the battle away from the city. Hack Snyder could have easily wrote it that way. I mean, you're writing the movie. You're God dictating what happens in the film. And I don't even like. Well, don't get me started on Superman 2. I got a lot of problems with it, but compared to Man of Steel, I love it. And I do like the Donner cut. So there's a Donner cut. Now this could be a Snyder cut. And incidentally, by the way, I think that's fine because he did start making the things, so let him finish it. I mean, if he was the guy that started it, so let him do what he's got to do. And not everybody likes all the same things, and not everybody's having them, but it's fine. That's all I pretty much have to say about that. I'm fully admitting, and it's a personal thing, and maybe it's a selfish thing. To what I went through with the Snyder bots, I'm not going to go into it here, but what I and many other people did, and you're not being called a Snyder bot by me if you're just a nice person that I like or that's cool, that didn't harass anybody and do a lot of really foul, horrible things that I won't go into here during those times, 2011 through about 2013 and 14 maybe. But I will tell you that one thing I will tell you is there was a jackass who made a YouTube channel doing videos bitching about me. I got death threats and all kind of crazy shit, but I didn't even get the worst of it. It was a lot of other people. And all I did was criticize. I wrote a real long criticism of it. Incidentally, on my show, when I reviewed that crap in June of 2013, and right after I saw it, my first two shows I did, 2 long 3-hour shows with 2 different friends who liked the movie. So I had someone on the show that disagreed with me. We did a point counterpoint, and we had a good time. We talked about what we thought about the film. Then the next night, a couple of my wonderful retro-blasting friends came on, Michael and Melinda. I love them. And we, of course, all hated the movie, and we hated the shit. We hated on it like motherfuckers. We bitched and trashed it. But then after that, I did even more shows where we talk about it. Look, all know Flash and Matt. Flash, my great friend Flash. We didn't agree on it. We always talked about it. And we, bust each other's chops over it, joke around with each other. We were fine. So I don't hate you if you like something I don't like. Or even if you hate something I do like, incidentally. It's not what I'm about here. Not about hating. Well, we can hate on some shit, I hate Alex Kurtzman and Jar Jar Abrams. So I don't hate Zack Snyder. I do have some problems with him, but and I mock him and I criticize him pretty tough, and I won't apologize for that. But and I don't hate anyone. I have no hate in my heart for anyone, but it comes close for scum like Kathleen Kennedy and Jar Jar Abrams. A lot of those people up with Star Wars and bad reboot like Alex Klutzman and Damon Lindelof and people like that. And though, look, again, I even don't hate them. I don't hate, but those are people it gets close. But see, I've never actually met them, and you're not really being fair if you don't know somebody. If you've not met them, but I hate what they do. And I hate what a lot of the people like at Marvel or DC, the comics divisions, do. And then there are others I disagree with that I like. I mean, I love Seth MacFarlane. The things he tweets. Ugh. I like Robert Meyer Burnett. Big fan of Free Enterprise. I really like the guy. Like when he says things on Twitter, I'm like, oh my God. But you know what? He's allowed to say that. I just don't engage with it. But you can like and get along and be friends with people who are affable, even if you don't agree with them. I hope. That's pretty basic stuff. Not saying anything revolutionary here. I hope it seems revolutionary in these times sometimes, but I think anyone here will, gets that. So, um, I just uh, I did it for 11 years on Blog Talk Radio, and it was glitchy. I don't know. Maybe I should have stayed there. This could be a big mistake moving over here. But I figured stop it at the even number of 700. For those who just popped in, if you're actually still listening to me ramble like this, God bless you. I love you, and I appreciate you. And you can write to me telling what a shithead I am. Well, that's fine. I mean, no one would argue with you. I try to be a nice guy. I'm an opinionated son of a bitch. I fuck around, but I love people, and again, a lot of it's all in good fun. And I said fuck, and I don't say fuck. You can say fuck here or anything you want. So, I don't think I'm not monetized, am I? I was watching a live stream the other night by the lovely Mary Mayhem or whatever, and she got cut off in the middle of live stream talking about things that somebody at YouTube got offended by. It's fucking terrible. And so I'm not talking about anything offensive here that I know of, and won't really. I mean, we're just talking geek stuff here. I don't do politics specifique either. I did do it on my show. Won't be planning to do it here, and I won't even really be going after the SJWs that much. I don't like them, and I don't have time. But the thing is, we got a lot of guys doing that brilliantly. You don't need another one. That's not really what I'm going to be about as much. I like to do one show a week because I don't think you could. I don't think you could do better. I personally don't think I could do better in terms of dissecting the SJWs as well as Gary or Doomcock does it, or Dave Cullen does it, or Quartering, or Jeremy Geeks and Gangers. See these guys. I'm a fan of all these guys. Heels versus Babyface. I love that guy. He's hilarious. He's fantastic. I love all those guys, and they do it better. Look, I'm an old man. I'm older than all those guys. I'm even older than Uncle Ethan. I'm old, man. So, let those young whippersnappers, not that much younger than me, but some of them are, but, they're better at doing all that kind of crap than me. I'm just an old geek, and I moved my format here, and I'm going to talk geekness, and I'm going to hope to have fun with it, and that's all, just like I always do. BTR, they've made it, especially the past couple of years, impossible to gauge what your, and I use the term used loosely, ratings are, okay? So we didn't have, that's another reason why we left. We didn't really have much of a way of telling, how many people were listening or downloading at any given time, because their analytics were terrible on BTR. Now people can go on your page and they'll say, hey, 3 old people listen to this guy. He's got 5 subscribers. I think I had 24 a little while ago. I don't know. Because I just, again, I was on Doomcock's show a couple weeks ago when he was very nice enough to let me plug and announce when I opened the channel up, but I didn't, other than his interview, I didn't put anything else on there, so I haven't really been touting the channel much, and, 24 subscribers, 24 billion. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do the things the same as always, and if Mark, see if you're still here, brother, even if you hear this later, even if not, I'll contact you, reach out to you. But I would love to have you on one of these days when I get things situated. We always talked about it. And, Bud, I was never avoiding you, man. I forget crap. If you'd have called me one night and said, hey, I'm coming on your damn show, it's yours, pal. You got it. I would have loved to have had you, man. So anytime. But it's me being a friggin', not you, it's me being a goddamn old man with a shit memory. And that's all, man. I remember last time I even saw you was a good while back now out at the old Bistro Italia. So if you're ever back in town, man, and things get back to normal, we should all go out and hang with the Geek Gang again, bro. I would love to see you. And Jobber writes, I don't want to get too political, but I disagree with John Carpenter's views, but I love his movies. Kennedy, George Kurtzman shoved their views without writing, producing. Absolutely, Jobber. I mean, John Carpenter's views are, in my opinion, I agree, he's wacky. For example, he made a whole movie. It's interesting. John Carpenter made a whole movie with his views, and he meant that shit, and I still love it. They live as wackadoodle. He believes that shit about people that, well, let's just say with our people who lean our way. I mean, John Carpenter meant that crap. This was the mid-'80s. He meant what he wrote, what he made that film. And I think I think he's ridiculous. And I love that fucking movie. Because it's, for one thing, and I believe it's Doomcock likes to say this. If you can back it up with something really good, hey, you can excuse a lot. It's like Alan Moore was a wackadoodle, but he wrote, well, many great things in the 80s and a few in the 90s. But yeah, if you make something good, partner, and I may think you're the biggest loon there is, but I'm going to say it's good. Now, your boy Zach said something. I mean, he says some stuff I don't agree with. Sometimes we have like a disagreement on Jack Kirby because I think he's wrong about him. But he did say something interesting. He said, look, I mean, if somebody, even people that he doesn't like, even jackasses like Mark Waid, he admits that they've written some good stuff that he liked. And yeah, there's some complete jagoffs that have written or produced something, artistically speaking, that I like. It does make it a little tough. Like you go, wow, God, I love that movie or that comic, and the guy who, or if it's a woman, whoever produced this crap is a fucking asshead. And it's full of shit. But if they're just full of shit and they're still at least they're cool and they don't really attack you, okay, look, I mean, Seth MacFarlane, when he gets political on Twitter, and it's his business, I love the guy now. I love the Orville. Really love it. He gets political, and I see his political tweets, and but you know what? I have no animosity in my heart for him. Because this is a guy that is, I mean, I'm not even a Family Guy fan, but he's had, I won't mention a name, but he's had one of the biggest people on the other side of the political fence from him, a whole episode about him. And he's friends with the guy. And yet, I know he doesn't agree with him on anything. Are they still friends now, the post-TDS times? I don't know. Because he seems to suffer from TDS, but then again, he doesn't seem to, I don't know. He doesn't attack people personally that I know of, other than a certain person, but I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, MacFarlane seems like at least a level-headed dude. I mean, as far as, live and let live in coexistence. And that's the key, the coexistence thing. And I love the Orville. I hope, oh God, I can't wait for that third season. It's a shame it got pushed back. But I love it. I mean, it's the closest to Star Trek, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, or a feeling, maybe. Maybe it's more of a feeling than an opinion, that we're ever going to get again. The Orville, as far as the spirit of Star Trek is concerned. It's similar to me, Superman was destroyed for me in '86 by DC for the longest time, and, well, just forever, really. And Alan Moore took over a lousy, crappy Rob Liefeld character called Supreme and turned him into my Superman that I loved, my gold and silver bronze Superman, and did stories. He was just, Superman lived in disguise as Supreme with a different name, and under assumed name Supreme, and did a brilliant run on it. His run of Supreme in the 90s, Alan Moore's, with help by Rick Veitch and Chris Sprouse and others, was fantastic and beautiful, and I just loved it. I was getting the chance, because I always wanted, Moore did some of the great Superman stories ever, just a couple. I always wondered if he got a hold of Superman as a regular, how would he do it? And it was wonderful. It was brilliant. It was just, I mean, I adored it. He respected all eras and just did a wonderful job with it. I got to see something I never thought I would ever see. My Superman the way I wanted him. Now, he was wearing different costume, different colors, and going under an assumed name, but at least I got it. And Moore, a wackadoodle, a nut job, in my opinion. But it was wonderful. Supreme was wonderful. Absolutely great. And there's even a website that talks about some of the things he had planned to finish it. Somewhere. I've seen it in a while. Mark Waid's a low-life piece of crap, but I still love Kingdom Come. Kirk Busiek is kind of, I mean, I met him once, and I met him when he was kind of a twerp in 1994 when I met him. And he gets political on Twitter somewhat. But I still love Astro City, and if he ever does it again, I'll buy it. He doesn't get as nasty as Wade or something like that I've seen, but he's, which is fine. It's right. I still follow him. Roddy Piper was awesome in They Live. Piper to Keith David What alpha males that you wanted to root for? Well, you know what? I think Disney should do a comic book adaptation of They Live, and let's see what Roddy Piper and Keith David look like in that. What do you think about them apples, Jobber? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be? I can't do it as well as Gary, but wouldn't that be fabulous? Oh my God, it'd be just wonderful. So yeah, maybe that should happen, Job. Would we want to see that? Oh God. Anyway, great film. Well, probably that um, alleyway fist fight. Probably one of the greatest just brawls or man on man brawl fist fights in the history of cinema. Topped probably only by the one in The Quiet Man with John Wayne and Victor McLagan in that big fight, if you remember such thing. That's probably my favorite all-time big, like, just long, drawn-out fight scenes. The one, The Quiet Man, but They Live, that's probably that's the most brutal and savage one, and that's probably right up there with it, I think. In terms of just a bare knuckles, two guys, just butchering each other in a fight, man. That scene's fantastic. I guess with the Quiet Man scene is a little bit on it because it goes it goes forever and it goes across the country. So yeah, great scene, great stuff. Yeah, love They Live though, and again, it's an example of a guy was and I guess still is very political, completely diametrically opposed to my views, and makes movies I love. Yeah, there you go, Joe. There you go, Jobber. You're right. That's what you want to see. A Disney They Live comic book adaptation. Just wait, buddy. It's coming. So, oh my goodness. Well, anyone who has, of course, either joined in live, and I don't know because I can't really see anything right now, or is nice enough to both click onto and listen to this whole little disjointed hour and plus that I've done as my test live stream. I want to thank you. You can write me something over in the comments or anywhere on YouTube if you want, and if you do Facebook, please go to the Clobberin Times Baxter Building basement. A mouthful there, but you can find it probably pretty easily. And join up, give me a holler if you can. If you got any suggestions or anything to say, or you want to tell me I'm full of crap or whatever, you can do that too. Again, I'm flexible that way. I'm casual that way. I'm easy. So, or you can find me on Twitter, Mike Alonzo's Clobberin Time Podcast on Twitter, which I did not link to because I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. Maybe I ought to go another hour and see if any Twitter tweeps want to join in. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll stay a little bit longer and see if anybody on Twitter wants to join in. What do you think? I don't know because I can't really see. Hey, I can hear myself. Wow. Wow. It's nice enough to both click onto and listen to this phone. Nice. It's just you and me, Jobber. It's just you and me, buddy. Well, that's fine, though. That's all right. All right. I should probably. I wish I'd have went to. I forgot to do something. On live testing. On live test show for a bit more. Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't think of what else to do. We'll see. Well, anyway. I want to thank everyone, though, seriously. And, I want to thank the great Lord Doomcock, who has been just, again, a great friend to me. like I said, I'm a nobody. I'm nothing. I've been doing this a long time, but I don't have any kind of audience like he does. And yet he was so cool. He came on my show. This was back in January of 19. So this is a good long time ago. And and he's had me on the show a couple times. He didn't have to do that. Just a great dude. Just fantastic, you know. And he's been very great in correspondences to me when I've written to him. Love that guy. I did post a link to Facebook. Yeah, earlier I did. So everybody's busy today. It's a holiday. It was a perfect day for a test anyway. But yeah, you know, look, I been doing it for a long time, and that was great of him. That was great of of Doomcock to do that, and he's been very helpful, and he's cool, and the whole Phantom Menace is cool, and we're gonna get this thing off the ground eventually. Just right now, just had like I say, I forgot to go over to Twitter to post that. Ugh, God, I should have earlier. I would have had somebody showing up, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I have Jobber. Oh, there you go. Well, like Jobber says, it's kind of busy right now. Nerdrotic and Ethan are streaming now. So, yeah, I'll probably just get off in a few minutes and go listen to some more of Gary. I was listening to Gary before this. Yeah, and they're great. So, I love them. And, yeah, I'll probably just do that then. Because, again, I'm being heard. We know that. It sounds okay from what I've understood. Even I can hear it on my phone. And I talked a little bit. Anyone who does run across the vid, it'll be a disjointed mess, but it might introduce me to people who don't know, and it'll tell them, oh, God, I'm not going to listen to this clown drone on his stupid show when we got great shows like Gary and Doomcock out there. But what the fuck? But they might, you know. But anyway, it's still a forum. So that's all it is. So I'm going to probably just wrap this up in a second here. Jobber, you were here, and that was the important thing, buddy. And I'm going to get some other... I'm going to get this straight where I can have guests, and I'm going to, you know, I will have Flash. And I got a few other people lined up that are really nice that have wanted to come on, that want to come on and talk. A couple of nice ladies that I've had that want to talk some Star Trek that I made friends with over, that are friends of Doomcock's as well. So, you know, because I'm just, you know, itching to talk some Star Trek. And so we'll be doing that soon. So I think the official first show, I'll check with Flash, but it might be one night this week. If I can if we can figure out how I can have a guest on, like if the Skype thing works and it works through the Skype thingy. Well, I do a Skype show test, maybe tomorrow or something like that. And if that's straight with this, then one listener or 1 billion won't matter. I'll have him on there. I will have Flash. By the way, as a matter of interest, Jobber, how did you know I was on? Are you at the Facebook group?